Here we are.
Yeah, how about it? He
That sounds
comes
pretty
and
good.
goes on a rainbow. How about it for Michael Snyder, the Culture Blaster? Hello, sir.
Hi, and greetings, Kim, Albert, Tony in absentia, and obviously our wonderful, wonderful audience here at the MTS. You know, amid all the brouhaha and
Yes, sir.
kerfuffle about Judge Alito having an upside-down flag on his lawn in solidarity with the January 6 rioters, Marjorie Taylor Greene has announced that she's going to be hanging herself upside down in support of Donald Trump. You know, like, how dumb is Marjorie Taylor Greene?
How dumb is she, Michael?
Oh, when the committee chairman called for order in the House, she shouted out, "I'll have a ham sandwich."
All right, I get it. Michael with the topical stuff.
Hey, you do what you
Very,
can.
very good, sir.
I'm kind of excited to have John Bon Jovi join American Idol, but aren't they afraid he'll give the show a bad name?
Oh, I'll give Idol a bad name.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
knew I was going to inspire a performance by the great Mark Thompson. Oh, Lordy. Let's talk some movies. What do you
I
say?
love it. Who do you have? What do you
Okay,
have?
well,
This movie, If, is much anticipated.
I don't know what kind of guy John Krasinski is in real life, although, you hear things. I mean, I'm not going to tell tales out of
What,
school.
does he not have a good reputation? or what?
You hear things.
Is
That's
he
all I'll
Jerky
say.
McJerko, or is he no?
I don't know. A friend of mine did work on Jack Ryan, his terrific Amazon espionage series.
Sure, exactly.
What a jerk.
Is he a jerk or not? No, is he?
I'm not at liberty to suggest one way or another.
Well,
He
by
might be
not
a great guy.
suggesting, you're saying, just say he's not if he's not.
No, I mean, I don't know firsthand
What a
kind of
jerk.
guy
Oh,
is.
stop it, Kim. He's not that
But
bad.
let's just say he was immensely likable.
I
as
liked him in The
Jim.
Office. I
Jim,
loved him in The Office.
the
What a
American
jerk.
version
All
of The
right,
Office.
just let Michael talk,
He
please.
makes a pretty good Jack Ryan on the TV show.
Okay.
A Quiet Place and its sequel were damn fine sci-fi movies that he wrote, directed, and co-starred in with his lovely wife, Emily Blunt. We've all been quite aware of their marriage for quite a long time. So he's earned a bit of goodwill that he needs for his latest effort as a filmmaker.
no.
It's the family-skewed fantasy If, which is all about a tween-age girl named Bee who tries to help a sad man reunite adults with their discarded imaginary friends from childhood. I love the concept. It sounds really engaging. And the girl, played by appealing young actress Kaylee Fleming, is staying with her grandmother, played by the great British actress Fiona Lewis in a small, thankless role. And they're in New York City while Bee's father, a single dad, played by Krasinski in what amounts to a lesser role because he is the screenwriter and the director here. He's in an area hospital for an unspecified but potentially risky operation that may or may not be on his heart. Oh, it's never made clear, but of course it has to be his heart because this is about pulling at the heartstrings. Anyway, with time on her hands between hospital visits, the girl spots a strange-looking creature in Grandma's neighborhood. It's a big, furry, bluish-purple thing that speaks with the voice of Steve Carell. And anyway, she follows him to a nearby apartment where that sad man, Cal, played by Ryan Reynolds in a surprisingly low-key manner, lives with the giant beast and other strange and silly ifs, or IFs, if you will, imaginary friends, IF, that long to be reconnected with the kids who grew up and stopped believing in them. Again, this sounds like a recipe for a perfect family film. Krasinski has assembled a who's who of big-name stars to voice the parade of imaginary friends, including Carell, the aforementioned Blunt, bring the wife in, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Lou Gossett Jr., Matt Damon, George Clooney, Jon Stewart, Sam Rockwell, Bradley Cooper, Bill Hader, Richard Jenkins, Maya Rudolph, Awkwafina, Matthew Rhys, Christopher Maloney, Keegan-Michael Key, Blake Lively. Even Brad Pitt shows up as Keith. I don't even know if Keith is an imaginary friend or some guy in the corner somewhere. There was so much coming at me in that regard. And you know what? So much star power, and so many of them get little more than a line or two. There are a couple sequences that are technical marvels. I mean, you will believe that a large thingamajig can hold a girl's hand and walk into a corporate office and be reflected in the glass door as he does. I mean, what they can do with computers Wow. Anyway, there's a song and dance sequence with Fleming Reynolds, a bunch of ifs, and a very famous and dearly departed pop music superstar that is a moment of joy. And the ending is a knee-jerk tearjerker, but Krasinski's world building, the where, why, and how of the imaginary friends and their mission is convoluted, haphazard, and a little confusing. And a few somber elements of the story. Remember that the hospitalized dad is single, so where's mom? Anyway, and a shortage of laughs work against it as something for kids and grown-ups alike. I didn't hate it. Maybe that goodwill towards Krasinski was a factor, or the idea of something wholesome for the entire fam. One of those things soften the blow here. Fleming is a find, by the way, and the tech is amazing. Still, the compulsory saccharine moments that were sprinkled throughout made my teeth hurt a little bit. If is in theaters.
Compulsory is a dang word.
Really? Well, it's compulsory that I continue the reviews.
Very good.
Let's move on to something that I loved. Okay. And I'm going to say the word loved at least one more time during this segment. I can feel it. Babes is what happens when three women known for savvy, no-holds-barred comedy pool their talents. Ilana Glazer is the co-creator and co-star of the Broad City sketch comedy TV series. Michelle Buteau is the bold and brassy stand-up comedian who's a Netflix favorite. Pamela Adlon is the actress, writer, and director of the sitcom Better Things, as well as a mainstay of the once lionized and now kind of discarded Louis C.K. sitcom Louis. And she's even the voice of Bobby Hill on the animated series King of the Hill. She's done boatloads of voice work, including The Simpsons. Their collaboration, these three women, Babes, is funny as hell, unabashedly profane, and genuinely sweet. Its terse title, I love it, one little word, Babes, does triple duty as the movie revolves around the friendship of two randy and rambunctious female friends, the effect of pregnancy on their bond, and the fact that women in particular need to be prepared for the massive changes that are intrinsic to bringing new life into the world. Buteau is Dawn, married with one child and another on the way. Glazer is Eden, who is a single, party-hardy gal. They've been friends forever, but Dawn's marriage and growing family have eaten into her socializing with Eden until Eden has a one-night stand that gets her prego, and she decides to keep the baby, thereby giving her that in common with Dawn. So Glazer is a treasure, whether in hyper fun time mode, flirting with a cute and charming guy on the subway, bantering with Buteau, or freaking out about what impending motherhood is going to do to her body, her mind, and her emotions. Buteau is a perfect foil for Glazer and damned hilarious on her own, whether she's dealing with a waiter in kind of imperious fashion, trying to manage her kids and present a united front with her husband, Marty, or tending to this friendship with Eden. The supporting cast, especially Hassan Minhaj as Dawn's uber-patient husband, is terrific. Although she's directed TV before, Babes is Adlon's first stab at directing a feature film, and she slays with this stab. It helps that the script, written by Glazer and Josh Rabinowitz, crackles, but it's Glazer and Buteau who really make Babes shine with their comedic skills and their rapport. You root for them, you're happy for them when things go well, and the movie's visceral and vulgar moments are generally hilarious, and I genuinely laughed out loud a number of times.
Wow.
I loved Babes, which is in theaters.
Wow. Imperious and visceral. I'll ding that too.
Okay.
Yeah, good job. So you got one you really liked.
Oh, yeah. It's not, it gets a little dirty here and there. So if you're, the church lady, this is not for you.
No, I see. Okay.
Okay. The first thing I thought when I heard about an Amy Winehouse biopic was, too soon? And then I thought it's been over a decade since her death in 2011 at the age of 27. And Amy, director Asif Kapadia's detailed and potent documentary about her, was released back in 2015. So, I guess she's fair game. And that means we now have Back to Black, directed by Sam Taylor Johnson, and bearing the title of Winehouse's most significant album. To be honest, the documentary is a more detailed and unflinching look at her, But to be fair, Back to Black, which is a dramatization of the British soul singer's brief, incandescent, and ultimately tragic life, does feature a star-making performance from Marissa Abela, who plays Amy with passion and warmth, looks like her at the various stages of her career, and shockingly sings like her, which is a significant achievement since Abela is not currently and has never been a professional singer.
Wow, that's an extraordinary. Incandescent is a dinger.
Anyway,
that's extraordinary.
It is. And this is otherwise a standard issue, tragic pop star film biography with all that entails, despite the conventionality of it all and the kinder, gentler approach to some of Winehouse's darker aspects. Remember, she had a substance abuse problem, and as we all know, they tried to make her go to rehab, and she said, no, no, no. I recollect that.
I heard that, too.
Anyway, Abela is so good, as are Jack O'Connell playing a rather cliched cad version of the no good but can't quit him bad boy Blake, who clearly contributed to her ruination. The awards magnate Leslie Manville as Amy's cool and doting aunt. And the protean Eddie Marsan, you loved him in Ray Donovan and a zillion British things. Here he plays Amy's devoted dad. Winehouse was so hounded by the press, Mark, and in general beaten down by fame and what was expected of her, that it's nice that she's being somewhat canonized by Back to Black. But if you haven't seen the documentary, it's a more honest depiction.
Yeah, the documentary is really good. Canonized, by the way. Yeah.
Gifted troubled singer. Back to Black is in theaters.
You think that she was, because you are, you write about music and you write about, so this, she's a cultural, I would say, phenomenon, and also this immense talent. Do you feel she was like hounded into and pressured into sort of a what was likely an immutable fate for her anyway?
I think that so much was expected of her, and the spotlight glare kind of sometimes makes people kind of shrink or shrivel or get bigger and crazier. And in this case, I think she drank a lot.
It hastened her demise, you feel?
I think it did. By the way, they do reference the fact of her Jewish background, and family members going, "Find a nice Jewish boy."
Oh, I didn't know that. Is that right?
It doesn't happen. She does not find a nice Jewish boy. I promise you that. Okay, let's wrap up the movie segment with just a little short about something that my good friend and colleague Tim Sika, who does film reviews,
he's terrific.
He did them on Nikki's show, and he now has moved to the After Party Live. Very smart and eloquent reviewer, and wry, which I appreciate. He mentioned the fact that he was going to cover this movie called The Last Stop in Yuma County. And I went, I have to seek this thing out. And apparently it did brief theatrical in select theaters last week and is now available for streaming on demand. And I watched it, and as a fan of film noir and loving the idea that up-and-coming directors can knock it out of the park on a small budget, I was absolutely thrilled with it.
And that's terrific. I was hoping you'd like it.
It's really very, very clever, beautifully put together. It has a first-rate cast of people that a couple you might recognize as character actors and, second leads and whatever, but they're not well-known. None of them are names. And the basic premise is it's Arizona in 1973, and a knife salesman who's not very good at the job is running out of gas. So he pulls into a gas stop, the last stop in Yuma County, for 100 miles. And there's a little restaurant there and, obviously a garage for repairs. And the gas truck has not come to replenish the supply. So he's kind of stuck there. And while he's there, two bank robbers who have just gotten away with a bundle from a nearby county also pull in out of gas. And this is sort of, trouble afoot. And there's a waitress whose husband is the local sheriff. All of these strands start coming together, and a few more people show up to get gasoline and don't have the opportunity, so they come to the little restaurant. And it's like a tinderbox. You just know things are going to explode.
Oh, this sounds terrific.
And I just thought it was first rate. Francis Galuppi is the director and screenwriter, and Galuppi is the guy's name. And I'd not heard of them. Heard of this director, guy or a gal? I guess it's a guy, Francis CIS. And man, everything works. And it is in the film noir tradition. So, there may not be a happy ending, but even so, you're there for the entire trip. And it's also lean and mean, 90 minutes, bang, bang. And I just loved it. And
I'm excited. Where is it to be seen? Where is it?
You can see it on demand.
Oh, that's
home.
great.
And I just thought it was
I think I might demand it.
And you should. It's really a lot of fun. And also, I just love this sort of movie. This kind of movie is my meat and potatoes. To that end, my current column in The Voice of San Francisco is called New Colors of Film Noir, and it's all about two film noir projects that I've spoken about here on the air, one of which is Mars Express, the great French animated futuristic neo-noir, and the other is Sugar, the miniseries on Apple starring Colin Farrell as a hard-boiled but kind-hearted detective in Los Angeles. And so check it out at thevoicesf.org. It's all about film noir. And
thank you for reminding me. I've got to see that Sugar. You recommended it a couple of weeks ago, and I still got to jump on it.
And I do have to point out that, this Yuma County film was right in my wheelhouse. Had I seen it before I wrote the column, I would have probably invoked it because it's, this tradition of a hard-boiled, dark-hued, crime and deception and betrayal. It's
great stuff. I mean, the mood is there. Ask Michael if it's like Baghdad Cafe.
It's sort of, except it's much more. It's much darker, I think, in some ways than Baghdad Cafe. If you like Baghdad Cafe, I think this is something you may want to look into.
I'm so sorry that I've got to wrap because I've got the jaw doctor I've got to go see, and I can barely open my mouth. Can you give me just maybe a minute? I know you want to touch on TV also. But
I'll give you a little bit. The Veil on FX Hulu is also right in my wheelhouse. It's an international spy thriller series that is laden with moral ambiguity as it explores the very surprising and fraught relationship between two women who play this little deadly game of truth and lies on the road from Istanbul to Paris and London. One woman has a secret, and the other is on a mission to reveal it before thousands of lives are lost. Okay, that's the premise.
Wow, and where is that can be seen?
It's on FX Hulu. In the shadows, mission controllers at the U.S. CIA and the French DGSF. DGSE, they got to put their differences aside, as hard as it's going to be, and work together to avert potential disaster. Elizabeth Moss of The Handmaid's Tale and many other things is Imogene Salter, a veteran MI6 agent with a specialty in undercover work. Yumna Marwan is Adila, and Josh Charles, who you may remember from Sports Night, is Max, a ruthless, controlling CIA officer assigned to work as Salter's American liaison. And Adila is maybe a queen pin in ISIS. We don't know.
Wow.
It's called The Veil, created by Stephen Knight, the guy who did Peaky Blinders. So I thought, we're in good hands here, buddy.
Sure, great pedigree.
So there you go. There's a little something for you.
So The Veil is the Istanbul to Paris ride. One woman has a secret. The other is trying to expose it. It's on FX and Hulu. Elizabeth Moss and the MI6 agent, as she is, with a special set of skills a la Liam Neeson.
She does. She's like the female Liam Neeson, only kind of more womanly.
The last stop in Yuma County is the crime thriller, bank robbers, and the slow pot boiler that begins at a gas station that's out of gas, and we know nothing good's going to happen.
No cell phones, baby. It's 1973.
Great ride, written and directed by Francis Galuppi and Jim Cummings, Jocelyn Donahue, Richard Brake.
Yeah, these guys are not household names.
Faison Love.
Oh, Faison Love, people know.
Faison Love. And that's his feature directorial debut. It's a video on demand. Back to Black is the Amy Winehouse biographical drama film. I saw the documentary, but Michael says this is of course, based on Amy Winehouse's singer-songwriter existence. She is played, Amy Winehouse is, Michael says, by this Marissa Abela.
Yeah.
And she's brilliant, both in looking like and sounding like Amy Winehouse. That is no small task.
The emotion, everything about it is on point. And that's what carries the film beyond its more pedestrian structure and delivery.
And you can find that in theaters and...
That's it, yeah.
In theaters.
Yeah.
Babes is the movie that he really loved this week. Anna Glazer, Michelle Buteau.
Alana Glazer.
Alana Glazer,
She is just a marvel. I loved her.
Pamela Adlon, who I love, and she's just so creative. It's amazing. I don't know how she does it. Anyway, they all collaborate. It's funny as hell, he said, profane a bit, and sweet also. And it's all wrapped up in a really terrific movie. That's clearly his pick of the week. Babes is in theaters. And If, the much-anticipated film from Krasinski. What's his first name?
John.
And
it's kind of an ordinary name, Mark.
It stars Krasinski.
Yeah, and a small role. Mostly
a bunch of other, though, big stars.
Mostly it's Ryan Reynolds and this young actress, Kaylee Fleming.
The tech is terrific. The movie's not great. It's like a meh, I think, really is what I got from you.
It has moments. That big musical number, I was like filled with its joy, and then I was like, all right, explain this to me, please.
You were waiting for it to be over, but not horribly waiting for it. No. Just sort of. No. You can find Michael's latest column. It's about film noir, from what I understand, and that could be really fun to read. So that's on the Voice of San Francisco. You can find the Voice of San Francisco if you Google the Voice of San Francisco.
Google it.
Or you can just find it at
thevoicesf.org.
Thevoicesf.org. Find Michael Snyder's musings. He's a very good writer, and he has some very good reflections on things. So thevoicesf.org.
Google it.
And it's the Voice of San Francisco. Michael, we love your visits on Fridays. He comes and goes on a rainbow. Bye-bye, Michael.
Bye, guys. Go Giants. Woo!